All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another edition of our real estate backstory. We do this every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Hopefully to get you started off on a good week about everything happening, the comings and goings in the real estate world here in the Atlanta market. So my name is Alan Richardson. I'm the managing broker at Maximum One Realty and Realtor Partners.
My name is Ming Richardson. I'm the compliance broker for Maximum One Realty and Realtor Partners.
And this week we have quite a few things coming up on training. And so today at 1 over in our Conyers office, we got how to protect your buyers and sellers. By that, it's a lunch and learn. So you want to get the agent's heart, you start with their tummy. So lunch and learn is over in Conyers today at 1. Tomorrow, actually, Ming is going to be teaching
Bulletproofing your contract. So that class is more of an interactive class than it is by scripts or by guidelines. So we're going to dissect the guard contract along with the current crazy offers that we're getting and what it really means in a real estate world.
Yep. And then on Wednesday, there's a Zoom class, which is 2021 RE Forms Contract Dissection, and that's by Amy Davis. She's one of the closing attorneys. And also on Wednesday at 9:30, we have Understanding Values in This Crazy Market. Now, this one is at MSAR, but it is a free class at Metro South Association of Realtors. It is going to be a live class. I just wanted to throw that one out there because, largely because this, even though we're not necessarily teaching it, to say that values in our market are kind of crazy is probably an understatement at the moment right now. So anything we can do to get a better handle on what's going on with the values in our area and that kind of stuff. And plus it's a free class over at MSAR. So
I believe that was taught by DS Murphy.
DS Murphy. Yep,
Okay.
Absolutely. And then on Thursday, my goodness, we have 3 different CE classes. They all start at the same time, which is great. So, in Conyers as well as virtual, we're going to be having marketing for realtors. That's going to be live in our Conyers office. So lots of things happening in the Conyers office this week. Also on virtual, there's the marketing and 1031 for real estate exchanges. Now we've had this class before and it got just rave reviews. And so
it's definitely a class that you don't want to miss out, because for those of you who are working with investors, I can tell you this is a great answer to some of their tax issues.
Yep. And then also at the same time is using LinkedIn to generate real estate business, generate leads.
We're office doing that one.
It's virtual. Actually, that one's just going to be virtual on there.
Okay.
And then in all of our class, and then in all of our offices, we also have the Brian Buffini series. And so there is still time to jump in. So we please, we encourage you so much to take advantage of this amazing training. Brian Buffini is one of the top trainers in the United States. He really preaches and teaches, building your business by referral. And for us, we were glad to provide that, but don't come to me and be like, I'm not doing the business I want to do and not attend these classes.
Honestly, you guys, with today's market, there's no reason why you are not getting more education and also learning how to navigate.
Yep. So
Brian Buffini does apply a lot of your basics, but it's about consistency and scheduling.
Yeah. So this week we're going to be going over how to stay in contact and caring for your clients this week. It's going to be the video series that we're jumping in. We have the workbooks ready to go. So if you haven't made it, please, we are basically begging you at this point to please come out and really.
Honestly, we have a good time when we do it.
Yeah.
And it's a good, it's also semi accountability. So
Yeah.
if you need a little assistance as far as somebody holds your feet to the fire and kind of get you motivated, this will be a great class to come and learn.
All right. Well, I want to chat for just a minute about.
We're in the heat this weekend, moving my daughter to Georgia Tech this weekend. So
it was crazy, but it was good. I didn't cry.
He's a little dehydrated.
That kind of stuff. So it was good though. But I want to talk about COVID, but not COVID from a political position and nothing like that. Overall, a lot. Well, in the real estate world is really treating life as, treating COVID as life as usual. And I understand that. I'm not knocking that. And so now I'm not getting into any kind of debate about vaccines. We've been vaccinated, but we also teach a lot of classes. We have a lot of interactions. And so we don't want to be the cause of doing anything like that. But that's a personal choice for us. If you choose not to get vaccinated, that's a personal choice for you. I have no problem, and I'm not giving anyone any kind of mandates, but we have to be respectful at all times. A lot of our clients are vaccinated. A lot of our clients are not vaccinated. And so how we interact with them, my concern right now is that for the vast majority of the real estate world, they're just kind of treating it as just another day. We're past that. We're not going into that. And we still have a lot of clients that are very, very concerned. We have a lot more cases are on the uprise. There's a uptick in deaths as well as in hospitalizations. So, I'm not getting political with it, but I do think it is time that we step back and kind of say, there are times when we need to be wearing masks, whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated. I will wear a mask just because I want to be respectful of the people who I'm with. And so sometimes I'll say, would you like for me to wear my mask and that kind of stuff? We need to be doing that more with our buyers and sellers and understand that what our personal biases is and our personal feelings about this is not, half the world is feeling one way about it, or half, we're pretty evenly separated between, the folks who want to wear masks and don't, the folks who want to get vaccinated who don't, that kind of stuff. So I'm not getting
If
into that.
nothing else, it's just common courtesy. If you were just, be cautious and be respectful of other people's feeling. Not everybody cares.
Yep.
So about mask or no mask.
Yep, exactly. All right, I want to talk about and kind of we want to go back over the amendatory clause at FHA and VA appraisal guarantee versus the FHA and VA appraisal guarantee, and mainly bring it up because this is basically clear as mud. All right, and it's kind of the issue that we've got going on right now. And so let's do the background here, okay?
So if you have a buyer who has made an offer at $250,000, they already know this property is probably 10 or 20,000 above the fair market value. If the appraiser and also the buyer went ahead and guaranteed a $10,000 appraisal guarantee. Okay, so if the property were appraised at 240,000, the buyer will basically bring the other 10. Now, if the property appraised less than $240,000, then that's an issue. So,
well, basically, what it comes down to is, can a buyer still walk away from a low appraisal with an appraisal guarantee? And that's where it really comes down to, because
it's a little sticky as mud.
Yeah. It is not a clear indication right now. Matter of fact,
there's two schools of thoughts, just so you know.
Yeah. All right.
One of them is that Seth Wiseman, and basically they're saying, look, we all know about FHA amendatory clause. So when you walk into a contract knowing you're going to guarantee $10,000, okay, you can't terminate because of low appraisal and expect insurance money back because you already guaranteed a $10,000. So if you happen not have $10,000 bring to closing, then you basically defaulted and earnest money's at risk. But the other school of thought is that if FHA is federal mandate, okay, and so therefore it doesn't matter what the buyer say, because it's contingent on the loan in the federal mandate. If that does not appraise, even though the buyer may have request a $10,000 or a guarantee of $10,000 appraisal, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, the appraisal came low, and therefore federal trumps any special step. And so there's two school of thoughts. Once again, special step typically trumps any pre-printed items, and that is pretty much a guard census in the form, the way it's written and the way it's intended.
Well, I mean, the guard contracts state that special stipulations supersede an exhibit, which supersedes the purchase and sale agreement, and so that's kind of where the argument for the special stipulation to prevail. However, the feds kind of are also the ruling party here, kind of thing.
So, I think there may be a revision next year on this, just so you know.
Oh yeah, I'd say we're definitely going to see that in 2022.
Yeah,
contract changes
so
will be
right
updating
now
this.
is up to the holder and how they interpret. So when you leave it to the attorney and it's not clear, they can put that in interplea. Now, I do know to interplea, last time I checked, it was around about $3,000 just to retain attorney to interplea the file. So
anyway, what we're trying to say is that it is not a clear cut and dry. If you're a listing agent and you get a FHA VA offer and they're doing an appraisal guarantee, well, they can the buyers still walk out and get their earnest money? And the
it's
answer
up
is
to
maybe.
it's
Whoever
up to the holder's
holder of the right,
interpretation
and so
and how they perceive how the contract is written.
yep, exactly. So right now there isn't a clear standing out there, and for buyers agents, you need to be careful when you're offering these guarantees about what can the buyer truly do, and that we're not misrepresenting ourselves. All right, so the consumer price index shot up to 5.4% in July. That is our 20-year high on consumer pricing. We are seeing that that's kind of running kind of across the board. And this is, this kind of shows kind of where our core price index is kind of historically over the last, 15, 16 years kind of thing. And so you can see where we're really seeing where these numbers are up. That's also really driving our federal deficit. This is what I find personally probably the most disturbing, because you can see the light gray boxes that shows where it was in 2019 on the federal deficit. Then the blue bar is where it took off in 2020, which was 2 and 3 times where it was in 20.
And that's because of COVID,
2019. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
the PPP, and understand at the time,
Yeah.
and and also federal unemployment. It is what the public need, but at the current trend, is going like hotcakes.
Yep.
And it's not us that's going to be paying for it, it's our children.
So,
and down the road that may be.
well, I'm not
see
getting
the
all political with
consequences
it, but there
Well,
are
I
some
mean, you're
consequences
spending
to the
money.
spending we have right now.
Where's the money coming
Yeah.
from? I mean, for every action, there's a reaction. So, a lot of us just avoid the conversation on reaction part of it versus the action.
What's really interesting though is if you look at what do we do with the money, about 40% of Americans have saved their stimulus from the different bailouts and
that's
and
because
the programs, that kind of stuff.
right now they all know in order to get a house or anything, they got to have substantial down payment.
Yeah, because we're also seeing where personal income is continuing to increase, which is good. We need that for the economy. So payrolls increased this past week. Payrolls increased to 943,000 in July. Unemployment dropped to 5.5%, 5.4%. And right now we have some of the highest job openings that we have ever
Leisure
had.
hospitality. Yeah. I don't know when's the last time you go to a restaurant where you have hard time getting services or see a bunch of open tables because there's nobody working those tables.
And it's a challenge for the service industries right now. There's just no doubt. At the same time, unemployment claims dropped for 3 weeks in a row. So these are all really positive signs of what's going on in our economy right now. A new survey came out from NAR, which showed the reasons that our buyers have been unsuccessful for finding a home. These are folks who've been searching for more than 3 months, and it has recently shifted. And really it's pointing to the issues that we have of affordability. Now, if you're in the business, you already know it's affordability. For the past 6 months, basically, for the past 2 to 3 quarters, 6 to 9 months, the big issue has been I've been getting outbid, but now it's that I can't afford it. And so we're going to see where more and more affordability issues is one of the driving factors of the real estate market kind of moving forward. We need to be ready for that.
The seller, listing agent, just advise your seller that the affordability for buyer is crashing a little bit, simply because even the interest rate
I wouldn't say
good.
crashing. We're not seeing a decline in value.
Okay, when I say crashing, meaning that you can expect month after month increasing anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 above the previous listing, because that's what we're seeing happening right now.
Yeah. Well, and July's numbers came out. They're always a little bit behind, kind of thing, because we're about halfway in August now. But July's numbers came out, And, overall here in the Atlanta market, median listing price was up 14%. However, average listing prices are back down in the single digits now. We're seeing a lot more of that kind of going on. This graph right here shows what's going on with active listings. So down at the very bottom is where we are, but you can see that we have a very positive trend flowing on our active listing count. We are starting to move in the same direction. At the same time, we're expecting to see more historical norms moving into the fall than we saw last year, because fall last year was still pretty much, it was just a really extended summer with COVID. The inventory of newly listed homes is increasing. As a matter of fact, it's over 2020 right now. And so that's a really positive sign. We're not all the way up to 2019 and all that yet, but we are starting to see more homes come on the market right now than we've seen, well, in the past year, basically. But here's the good news. So this is by our inventory, what kind of inventory is opening up here in the US. And so the biggest segment, well, not the biggest segment, but you see that the segment of homes from 750 up to 1,750 square feet have really jumped in the past quarter kind of thing on the number of homes coming onto the market. We need more, I'm not going to say smaller homes, but because the starter homes,
smaller home is typically your starter homes.
Yep, it really is. And so seeing that that's taking up a larger pie, a larger piece of the pie, that's really good news, especially for affordability, because where we're seeing the most pressure is not in the $600,000 to $700,000 range. Those kind of folks can move around. It's and buying anything under 200 right now, and it's kind of a barroom brawl at that point. So days on market, no surprise here. And this kind of shows that we are still, even though we're going to see that the market might be cooling slightly, it's not going down. Okay. And we're not seeing a dip in the decline. And I show this just to show that we're still at our lowest days on market, basically, ever. We are starting to see a slight upturn, which is actually needed. We need 6 months of inventory to have a flat market, and so we're still down 35 days.
Partially, that slight upturn, I believe, is pricing and affordability.
Yep, I agree. So, homeowner equity across the U.S. is continuing to surge now, and there's no real oh my gosh, I had no idea. With home prices appreciating the way they have, homeowner equity has really shot up. Among the 8,000 plus zip codes in the U.S. that had over 2,000 residents in it, over half had strong equity rich. Over half were equity rich, basically, and that's a really good sign for the housing market. It's a good sign for the economy, and just overall good.
Right.
Mortgage rates.
Still under 3%, y'all.
They are
2.87.
but they jumped up 10 percentage points last week. So we went from a 2.77 to a 2.87. No reason to get scared about it at all right now, but still, we did see a slight uptick in purchase applications, which is good. But we're still about 18% under last year.
Yeah.
So of the folks who are applying for the mortgage, though, more first-time buyers. And so this is good that we see more first-time buyers moving into our market. We see more first-time buyer homes available in the market. So we're seeing and really what we're seeing is that, if I say seeing one more time, I'm not going to know what I do with myself, but we are seeing, I just don't have any other word to use for it, that our clients are really paying attention to what's going on in the market. When they know when the properties are coming up that they're interested in, that kind of thing, and they're seeing that the property,
noticing.
Yeah, exactly, noticing. Thank you. That works really good. Fannie Mae also introduced some new underwriting rules that are going to be coming out mid part of next month, kind of thing. And this is mainly dealing with renters, because in the past, under Fannie and Freddie, you've not been able to count your rent payments as part of your rent, as part of your payment history, kind of thing, because so many landlords don't report that.
Well, your individual ones,
and so
private landlord.
But now they're willing to actually go back and pull bank statements and show where you paid previously and that kind of stuff, and adding that in there. And they're expecting that this is going to help those renters who really want to buy to be able to qualify better for more mortgages. On the other hand, student loan borrowers, they got bailed out again for another 6 months before their payment starts. So there's a couple of things we need to know. So there's nothing new here, really. This thing has been going in since what, a year and a half almost.
February
kind of thing.
last year, I
Yeah,
believe.
February, March of
March
2020
11th, yeah.
is when it kicked off. So, when folks like why did it do it? Well, Biden basically gave in to the other Democrats because they were really under pressure to do that. So that's kind of why it was extended again. But there's other questions like, should you keep paying, or should I keep not paying? And that's really kind of up to you as far as what you knew.
Just remember, it's a debt.
Yeah.
Okay. At the end of the day, it has to be satisfied. So whether or not if you defer it or not, it's still a debt.
Yeah.
And the interest, I believe, was paused.
No, it's kind of like the loans in hibernation.
Yeah.
So
But
basically,
once it goes back online, you're still looking at debt and monthly payment. Now you have extended the debt for another year and a half.
Yeah.
So
now, if you have a private consumer loan, all bets are off. That doesn't qualify. It doesn't mean you couldn't reach out to them, but that doesn't really count.
right. It's only government loans.
Yeah. Will it be extended again? They're saying no, but how that goes right now, kind of thing. They said the same thing about the foreclosure moratorium, or eviction moratorium. So, and then, there's still a lot of folks out there hoping for student loan forgiveness. We're not a big fan of that, as you saw from the amount of national debt that we're tallying up. I don't think that's necessarily a really smart move, but it is still out there. There's people talking about it. And largely when you look at what's happening with student debt in the US, this shows where student debt has been from 2006 to 2020. So in the last 14 years, young people,
500 billion to 1.5 trillion.
almost 1.7 actually.
Yeah, so that's not a small number.
And the other challenge for like us in the housing market is these are our up and coming buyers. This is partly why our millennial buyers have waited so long. I mean, past generations bought their homes in the 24 to 26 year range. Millennial buyers are buying at 32. 32 is the average first time buyer age right now. And a lot of that is fed directly off this, which is, student loans are really hindering that kind of thing. So I do understand the premise of trying to curtail that. I think we also need to be looking at how we give loans out and why we give loans out and what they're used for, because that to me is not necessarily ethical in the way that we're saddling young people with just a ton of debt kind of thing. HUD and FHA are teaming up to boost fair housing enforcement. This is heavily going to be targeting towards
FHA and VA loans.
Well, those as well as landlords. And so we're going to see a lot more, because fair housing encompasses rentals as well, not just purchases. We see where the rental market is probably going to be targeted heavily through this. So HUD and FHA are both partnering up, having a hard time today. Both partnering up to really try and jack up fair housing. We all have to be very conscious of fair housing.
Just make sure whatever you do, you practice with fair housing guideline.
Ethically, in everything we do. So now, while we're also talking about mortgages, if you are a fan of Rocket Mortgage, understand that you're now going to be competing with Rocket Mortgage. Rocket has announced that they are rolling out a discount real estate brokerage where their agent will work out of Detroit, and they will offer you a 1.5% commission rate. So yes, if you, I'm not personally, I like lenders that I can work with, that I know, that are people that I trust, and that I can look them in the eye, don't you mess up my loan. So I'm not a big fan of the, the big national companies and that kind of stuff, just because sometimes they tend to be very, very difficult, and we don't find their services
over the
great.
year, they have collected all the data from potential buyers, and now they're going to utilize that data and also sell real estate, and by promoting a 1.5% rebate on commission. So it'll be interesting how things are rolling. As buyer, don't be surprised if your buyer is asking you for a rebate up front when you're working with them, and understand You're the entrepreneur of your own business, so you figure out how you want to run your business.
Personally, I think that this is going to be a giant flop. I feel that real estate really is local. We don't put this information out because we're trying to scare anyone, but let's face it, some dude sitting at a desk in Detroit to list your home is ridiculous. They don't know what's going on in the local market. They don't know, they're going to send out and have photos done. They're going to do all this stuff from Detroit, which I just think is absolutely ridiculous.
There's going to be a growing pain for them as well.
Well, I hope so,
And when you roll a new product, you try to perceive what is, but a lot of time, there's not one size fits all. So, and that's what they're trying to do one size fits all. This is our process. This is how you do it. You buy our process, we'll give you 1.5% commission back.
Yeah. But Rocket
But
Mortgage is one of the
basically-
biggest mortgage companies out there.
Basically, honestly, they have tons of database, and they're just basically doing a discount listing.
So we're not a big fan of it. And obviously, I don't think you are either. I don't think it's going to be really, really successful for them. I just can't see how this is. Most consumers, you work with people that you trust. And it's really hard to trust some dude sitting in downtown Detroit.
And this is where your buyer brokerage agreement needs to come in
Yep.
effect. Okay, don't put the buyer's not. You're not going to collect the difference when you put a percentage in there, because at the end of the day, if you do that, you basically discount your service. So kind of have a really good buyer consultation. Say, listen, this is our commission and this is what we get paid. And just like you working your job, you get paid X amount of dollars. And so therefore, if we run into a listing that doesn't equate to this percentage, then it is you that had to come up. So when we make an offer, we got to make sure that is stated in there, or we make sure the purchase price include a 3% commission from the seller.
All right. We have more news about the eviction moratorium. So there is a legal battle brewing. We knew there would be already.
Absolutely.
Biden said that he didn't think he had power to do it, and he did it anyway. And so, but he felt like he had, a couple of months where he could string the courts along. Challenge it, or the challenge for the Biden administration with that is that the folks who have been filing the lawsuits, they didn't start a whole new lawsuit and a whole new process.
They were filing it a while back.
Yeah, they just basically said, hey, that lawsuit we were talking about last time? Yeah, let's just get that thing going again. And so all of a sudden that kind of spun them up onto their heels kind of thing. The challenge for the eviction moratorium right now is that one of the reasons is that there's already so much money out there. The federal government put out $46 billion in stimulus to help renters and landlords. However,
only 4.2 billion,
less than 10%. Yeah, only 10%.
Where's the other money going? Is what I'm
no,
curious.
it's just sitting there. It's just sitting there. But I guess the thing is if there had to be this giant eviction moratorium, why isn't the money being used?
Right.
And so that's one of the big challenges out there. I'm not saying that COVID's not real. I'm not saying that these things aren't an impact on the rentals.
Real. I have personally known friends and family that have got sick during that time. Yep. And stimulus money is very helpful, and no doubt about it. So
yeah, but now the thing is it also shows the disparity between homeowners versus renters. There's a big difference in homeowners versus renters. We already saw where the amount of savings with homeowners has been increasing and increasing and increasing. However, if you're a renter, you're now carrying an average in Georgia of $3,352 in debt per household. So, I say this not to kind of bash the renters, but just like for those folks who are renters, for your clients who are renters, do you want to be part of the rental world that's carrying around $3,352 in debt, or would you like to be part of the homeowners that are continuing to grow in equity and their savings are increasing, that kind of stuff? I mean, you get to choose which group you really want to be part of, kind of thing. And so this idea of I'm going to hold out and wait is really not a good tactic, because guess what? It's happening in the rental world now. Bidding wars are coming to the rental world. We are starting to see that here in our market, kind of thing. Bidding wars have really been the thing that we saw
for purchase, but it's never been a rental issue. But if you look at it, if my house, where prior to COVID was worth 250, and now during COVID, my house is worth 350. Okay. So if you look at someone obtain a loan between 250 and 350, guess what? Their monthly payment just increased.
Yeah.
And so that's what not only that, the landlord also pay more taxes. I'm not pro landlord or anything. That's not what I'm saying, but you gotta look at it from a logical number point of view, as far as if the buyer has to go out, the renter has to go out and buy a house of that caliber, how much will they pay in monthly rent plus the property tax?
Well, I can tell you that if you've been out looking at rentals, just be ready and hold on to your britches, because it is staggering. You're like, this is what $1,500 a month gets, kind of thing. It is really, really staggering out there. And so the idea of what, we're just going to rent and wait. Boy, that's a bad play.
Unless you have a private landlord that you rent from eons ago, and they're not being mean about jacking the rate up by $300 or $400 a month, because technically they can do that right now and get it in the fair market value.
Yeah. And new construction is also feeling the same pricing pressure right now. And so we can see that total spending on new housing has declined. And so it's kind of gone back to where it was pre-pandemic at this point, kind of thing. You can kind of see where new construction is definitely down from where it was. But that's because the builders are all realizing the same thing that we already know. We talked about earlier, is that, we don't have enough affordable housing, and all of our builders are building in that 350 to 500 range. And there's just not,
there's not a lot of demand for that, especially for first-time home buyer. And unfortunately, the product they're building is first-time home buyer product. Nothing extremely large or fancy, standard grades. But unfortunately, we understand price material goes up does affect the sale price.
Well, and a lot of that kind of goes along with the median lot price. This is the median lot prices here in the US for spec homes. This is what the builders. So actually here in the South Atlantic, where we are, that has some of the most moderate pricing of new construction lots, kind of thing. So down here, the average here in the South is $35,000. Overall, the US average is around 55,000, 53,000 is what the average lot prices are.
This is average, so it's not counting Buckhead property versus a McDonough property.
Yeah, just overall. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, if you're in Sandy Springs, new construction, that's going to be a more expensive piece of dirt than
or Brookhaven, for that matter.
So, but you can kind of see what's going to happen. Like if you look at where lot values were, even like in the 2004, 2005 area, where you can see where lot values really started to shoot up, and then where lot values are now, land is expensive. And so part of this, I'm right up there with everyone wanting to blame the builders, but by the same token, they've got lumber prices, which are starting to come down, are still 40% higher than they were.
Electrical,
labor is more expensive, everything. So this is a big deal kind of going on, and this is partly why I'm thinking that we're going to have a longer time to actually get out of the housing crisis. And when I say a housing crisis, meaning the number of homes available versus the number of people that want houses it's not equal. We're at about a 5.5 million deficit. And now it's looking like our builders, instead of building 1.5 million this year, probably gonna be building about 1.2 million on new construction homes. And
just because some of them have to halt during the time when lumber price was crazy. Simply because they knew that, whatever product they push out is not going to, one, appraise, and two, they're not in a business to lose money.
So now we want to take and just kind of do a fun little turn and talk about what are the most popular apps in the world. And for a realtor, I know there's a lot of us that are engaged on social media and not so much, but what's the number one app in the world right now? And Facebook got beat, is TikTok. And there's been a lot of, there's people who just sit and like drone through TikTok videos all day long, kind of thing. And we just bring that up to kind of show that, this really is something that where you can get in front of consumers. And so if you look at what are the most popular apps in the world, TikTok's number one, followed by Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook Messenger, which is interesting because Facebook Messenger has its own separate ranking apart from Facebook. You put those two together, it's really, really strong, that kind of stuff.
It's funny because I know a lot of us think, well, especially if you ask my kid, they'll say Facebook is for the older folks.
Yeah.
But it's still
Well, you can
ranked
say
pretty
that,
high.
but here in the US, actually, Facebook is still the king. Okay. What I showed you before, that was
What's
worldwide.
global?
So here in the US, Facebook still number one, baby. So don't give me any of this, you old people on Facebook, right? we still got it. We still there. We're still number
So
one.
WhatsApp is actually international communication
Yeah.
program.
Yeah. But TikTok is number 2 in the US now, kind of thing, which is, you know, which is an improvement. Instagram is number 4 now, which moved up a couple of spots. Facebook Messenger is again really high, that kind of thing. So you can see where these are the new platforms coming out. You know, you don't have to be all over social media to truly be able to
Actually,
engage in real
that
estate.
social media can consume your life sometimes.
It really can. Well, I kind of want to wrap. Well, not wrap. I got 2 last things to cover. One is that Google is now Google. A lot of your big companies in Silicon Valley, kind of thing. You know, these companies set trends nationally, just kind of how they are. And so Google is going through and going to be cutting employees who work from home, cutting the pay of employees who work from home. So, you know, during the pandemic, what we saw folks who moved to places with cheaper cost of living, and we saw it here in the Atlanta market, people who would live in downtown in expensive condos, things like that. And next thing you know, they're out in Jackson and these other cities, surrounding Atlanta, not right necessarily in Atlanta proper, but they have a strong internet connection, good Wi-Fi, and they can still conduct business from there. Well, now we're seeing where employees are going to have their pay cut by a lot of these companies based on the cost of living of where they've moved to. And so that's going to be really interesting to see if that causes a shift back. You know, we don't have any kind of data on whether or not this is going to impact us overall, but a lot of times when you see these trends, they kind of leap forward.
The productivity when COVID first hit was phenomenal because everybody want to make sure they're keeping their files in line and everything else. And as the time went, what employers seeing for folks that are working from home without discipline is that their productivity has gone down quite a bit. And so, and not only that, business have offices that they are still maintaining, whether employee come in or not. So when they have to maintain a building and everything else, it just doesn't make sense for them. So Google's new trend is that folks that insist on working from home due to COVID may feel a little bit of a pay cut.
Yeah. So we don't know what that's going to be, but just kind of keep you on your toes. All right. The next thing I want to talk about, and kind of our last point, and this is one of those hate to talk about, but
needs to talk about.
Maybe not need, but and allow me to reiterate.
Preface
so
it. Yeah.
All right. So I'm not a huge Zillow fan. All right. I think that Zillow, talks out of one side of their mouth, does another. I probably shouldn't state exactly my feelings on Zillow, but I'm going to. So,
well, I mean, just look at the history and trend.
Yeah.
First, they say they're not going to be a brokerage. Now they're a brokerage.
Yeah.
And so now, first they say they weren't going to compete with the agent. Now they're competing with us. So,
So I'm not what you call a Zillow fan. That being said,
but they do have great products.
We have a lot of agents that take advantage of their marketing opportunities and generate business through them. At the same time, we also know that 63% of buyers start their search on Zillow. You don't have to like it, but that's just bottom line facts right there, kind of thing. And so
I remember during downturn market, they started to create their database. So their database has been around for a long time to where it's easily public accessed.
Right. So anyway, to get around to what I do like that Zillow has rolled out, and Zillow has now incorporated free 3D home tours through the Zillow app. And it is completely free for realtors to use. Okay, you can download the app, use it.
Now,
and it's unlimited.
I'm curious whether or not they capture your buyer's lead through that app.
Well,
that's what I'm curious
they're
about.
always going to be doing that. But here's the deal: is that for for a listing agent. While I don't, again, I've stated I have no love for Zillow. That being said, if I know that if I market my properties on Zillow, with virtual tours kind of thing, first of all, listings with a 3D tour sold on average 10% faster. Listings with 3D tours were 22% more likely to sell within 30 days. And the listings with home tours were saved twice as much as any other properties. So I'm not a fan of this, but by the same token, if I'm truly representing my seller, and here's a free service that's going to get my seller and my property more exposure, do I want to do that? And that really is kind of in my opinion, one of those double-edged swords, because I want to do what's right for my client. I want to help my client to sell their home for the most money in the shortest amount of time possible.
Don't be surprised if they capture your buyer's lead through their website.
Yeah, well, of course, that's how they do it, kind of thing. So
they turn around and refer that to another agent.
So again, I'm not bashing you if you do or bashing you if you don't. I want you to know that this product is out there. And it is a free product for realtors to be able to take advantage of. And so, that's going to be a you call. I'm just kind of ending with it's there if you're interested in it, kind of thing. So if you need some more me time, you can hang out with us. You can find us at max1.rocks/chat. And so we just kind of hang out, answer any of the questions you guys have if you need anything. So hope you guys had a wonderful weekend, a great week coming up. And if we can be of any service, call, text, smoke signals, we do it all. Bye, y'all.
Thank you. Have a great Monday.